Are you ready?
My coach, Barbara H. Smith. Why did I hire her? Because she's the best.
Barbara H. Smith is a powerhouse. She just walks in the room and grabs your attention, and she does that in a way that just makes you feel loved and like she's paying attention to you, she cares about you, and she wants to see you be your best self.
The coaching that I am receiving from Barbara H. Smith gives me confidence.
She was able to dig inside and find the passion that was deep within me.
Barbara's energy is one of the reasons that I had to have her as my coach. I love the way she is real with people.
The reason I felt like I needed a coach was because I have some big goals and I needed to build my confidence. I knew that Barbara could help me do that.
One conversation with Barbara H. Smith and she will be able to tell you what it is you're missing.
I felt that I could trust her.
I would definitely recommend to get coaching from Barbara H. Smith if you feel like you need to level up your confidence. She would just help you feel like bold, like you can take on the world.
She has really shown me who I am. She has changed my mindset to a place that I know that I am more powerful today than I would have ever been if I had never met Barbara Smith.
Here we go. Here we go. I'm so excited today. Oh my God. It's going to be a great show as always. I want you to know that I am here as a coach, mentor, speaker, trainer, and I'm here for you. If you need assistance in any way to increase your visibility and unleash the speaker within you, I am your girl. I'm Barbara H. Smith, and today, oh my God, you are in for such a delight, such a treat. Today on today's show, we have a World Civility Ambassador, Dr. Ruben West. It is the breadth of his life experience that adds such depth, not only to his soul, but to his message and his measure as a man. When called to service in any capacity, he answers undaunted, unflinching, and unbreakable, even in the midst of unfathomable circumstances. He served his country in 1991 as a U.S. Army soldier in Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm. Ruben has left his legacy footprints all over the world. His medical consulting firm was established, a new professional discipline, surgical first assisting. He developed groundbreaking curriculum. And as an astute as he is, Ruben is a successful entrepreneur. Knowing that he is all over the world, he still studied his pattern of success. It determined his blueprint, his formula, and he showed other entrepreneurs how to replicate his results. As a newly named special envoy to the I Change Nations, Dr. West's global initiative, Biolog, is considered to many as the next evolution of change on how countries can not only build within the community, but how countries come together and work their differences side by side. As a speaker, trainer, author, and World Civility Ambassador, Dr. West's message transcends the world. I introduce to you Dr. Ruben West.
Hey, everybody. Hey, thank you for that introduction. Glad to be here.
Dr. West, it is my honor, my pleasure, my joy, my excitement. I don't know if you could tell I was excited at all that you were coming on the show today, but we are so glad you're here today. And we're going to jump right into the conversation.
Fantastic.
We're also going to ask for comment from the audience so that they can ask you questions as we go along. But one of the first questions I want to ask, I know we had some conversation about what we might talk about.
Sure.
But one of the first questions I want to ask is, what is going on in the life of Dr. Ruben West?
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, you know, I always have a lot of stuff going on. I'm excited because my son Spencer is graduating from Kansas State University on the 15th of May. Um, he's summa cum laude, and also he was one of four students named to receive the Robinson Family Multicultural Award there at K State. And
Wow.
so that's fantastic. I'm excited about that. I'm literally going to be going back to Kenya, Africa. We've started a business there. And so I'm going back there on the 19th of next month. And that's going to be exciting because we're getting that up and going, really making a difference. I mean, there's just so many different things going on. If I tried to tell you them all, it wouldn't work, but I'm really excited that I have the opportunity to do these things. But more importantly, I'm excited that I have the opportunity to be here on the show with you today.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. West. I want to ask you, there are some things that you and I have in common, like speaking in public.
Yes.
And I know that speaking is not just for platform speakers.
Right.
We all need to get out of our comfort zone. So
Exactly.
talk to me more about that comfort zone and how we get outside.
Well, first of all, most people are really, you know, they have things they want to do. And it's just not for speakers, it's just for life. Most people want to travel, but they're scared to go to other countries. When I told people I was in Africa, they're like, "Oh my God, what's that like?" I said, "Well, in Kenya, where I'm at, it's kind of like being downtown Chicago or downtown Atlanta, right? You wouldn't know the difference." But what we do, Barbara, most of the time is we take other people's word for it. We just believe whatever they tell us. And because we believe it, we're missing out on so much. And so the first thing we have to do to get out of our comfort zone is want to discover the information for ourselves. Because most people who tell you whatever they tell you, they have an agenda. They have an agenda. And so a lot of times when I'm posting on my page from Kenya, or I may be in Guyana, or I may be in Uganda, or I'm in Burundi, Africa, people say, "Where are you at?" And I'll say, "Africa." And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in Africa right now." Because we know that the media shows us what they want us to see. And so now listen to this. If you're listening, pay attention. Some of the programming is for entertainment, and some of the entertainment is for programming. Oh, I'm going to say that again. Some of the programming is for entertainment, and some of the entertainment is for programming. In other words, they're trying to get you to think a certain way. And when you do, you just settled into your comfort zone. So the first thing you have to do is decide that I'm going to find out for myself. I'm going to take the time to go research, go check on my own, because most of the time we don't. We take other people's word for it. And then now, since we're talking about Barbara, since we're talking about it, I have to say this. There's so many people, Barbara, that I believe were called to do so much more than what they're doing.
Absolutely.
They were called to do so much more than what they're doing. But the biggest mistake they make, Barbara, is they then go and run it by their friends. They go and run it by their associates. They go and run it by their family members. And here's what I know, and you tell me if you think this different, but when God gave you a calling, it wasn't a conference call.
Come on now.
You see, when God gave us a calling, it wasn't a conference call. And so other people aren't supposed to know what he said to you. They're not supposed to know what your calling is. And so you can't, I heard somebody say you can't have somebody proofread your spiritual vision when they're spiritually blind. And so part of that stepping out of that comfort zone is knowing what you've been called to do and being committed to going and doing it.
That is amazing. I love that when God gave you a calling,
it wasn't
a conference call. I need to write that down. So let me ask this question.
Yes.
I like that. Thank you, Donald Tolson, for putting that out for me. When God gave us a call, it wasn't a conference call. That is a fact. We want to know, how did you get started in everything you're working on? I know we are a part of something called Black Belt Speakers, but before that, there was something. So talk to us about that.
You know, I've always wanted to do. You know, my father worked at Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company. And so I remember being a kid, being in the car. I'm in the back seat. We were taking my father to work. My mother was driving so that my dad can get out and go into Goodyear. And then we were going to go on to what we were doing. And there were some people picketing outside, like they were picketing. and they were, upset about the job and so on and so forth. I was young, I didn't know, but I remember when my dad came home, I asked him, like, what were those people doing? Because, he got out of the car and he explained to me that some of them had been laid off. He explained I said, well, what does that mean? He said, well, they were laid off, and that means that the company didn't need them right now, so they let them go for permanent or a period of time. And I said, well, what did they do wrong? And he said, well, they didn't necessarily do anything wrong. It's just that the company didn't need them right now. And I said, wait a minute. So you mean you could be there doing the best work, doing everything right, and they could just say, we don't need you? And he said, well, yeah, it's their company. And so one of the things I thought at that time, I wanted to be in a position to do my own thing. Like if somebody's going to get laid off, I'd rather do the laying off than being laid off. So I've always been an entrepreneur. Started with my martial arts school. I've had it for 23, 24 years now. It's something I'm passionate about. Then we teamed up with some great people, and together we started a medical assisting company. We started a surgical staffing company. We started a surgical assistant company. Then I started black belt speakers. Obviously, I'm a 7th degree black belt. I was inducted in the U.S. Martial Arts Hall of Fame in 2005 as Instructor of the Year. So when I knew that I wanted to help people with their message and communication, I created black belt speakers, helping you put the punch in your presentation, because whether you know it or not, everyone's a speaker. I mean, we're learning more about communication through this COVID era, because now, Barbara, what we're seeing is the depression rate is higher.
Yes.
The suicide rate is higher, even amongst children. And the reason is we don't have as much contact as we used to. And so there was a time where we would go to work or go to church or go to school, and we just see each other and we just nod. All we had to do is nod, but that was communication.
Right.
COVID took that away. And so now everybody's separated. But let me tell you something, if you're listening, distance doesn't separate us, silence does.
Say it again. Say it again.
Distance doesn't separate us, silence does. And so now there's people who don't have a lot of close family members, and because they're not going to church, they're not going to school, they're not going to work, they're in silence. And so now, here's what I know. Most people haven't been used to being at home with their own thoughts. And now they have to identify who they are and what they are. And then they have to look at, man, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? And all of these things, and it's forcing us to think through life differently. And so that's why I'm glad that there's people like you that just do this show, that give people an opportunity to connect with other people. But not only that, you bring valuable insight to individuals to help them get through their day and through this difficult time. So thank you for that.
Well, I want to thank you again. I can't thank you enough. I know your schedule is jam-packed, and so I feel kind of privileged that you stopped by the Barbara H. Smith Show. But I know that you are a servant. You are a servant's servant, and you serve so many people. I want the audience to really get the depth and breadth of what you're doing in Africa.
Sure.
I saw some pictures of you handing out goats.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that time.
Yeah. So we started a company called Financially Fit Africa. Here's what I know. Listen to this. According to the Kenyan Revenue Authority, a lot of Kenyans make less than $1 a day. Only 2.8% of Kenyans make more than $1,000 a month. Catch that. Only 2.8% make more than $1,000 a month. As a matter of fact, in 2020, between April and June, 1.7 million Kenyans lost their job. The unemployment rate is over 7%. And then it about doubled during that period. 2019 census said that with the Kenyan youth, 39% of them have no job. They're jobless. So they have no place to take their skills, their talents, their abilities, their gifts. And so somebody's got to do something. And I'm the kind of person to think, why not me? Write this down if you're listening. No one else is coming. God sent you. Right?
Say it again. Say it again.
No one else is coming. God sent you. And so I understand that I can go make a difference. So we started this company called Financially Fit Africa, where we teach personal wealth education through principles, principle-centered wealth. Principles are important because principles, they work in the U.S., they work in Africa, they work all over the world. The Bible is based on principles. It can be used all over the world. So we teach principle-centered wealth, and at the same time, we give them an income opportunity. So that's one of the things that we're doing. Now, we practice a philosophy called cause capitalism. Listen to this. Cause capitalism is what a for-profit company takes as its partner, a nonprofit, not as a gimmick, but as a sustainable partnership. So a part of the money that comes into our company goes to the Goat Foundation, giving hope by giving goats, because we know there's some people that will never be able to take our education program. We have widows and children. And so we give a he goat and a she goat to these families. Now it produces goat cheese, goat milk, offspring, fertilizer, all these different things. And it's changing their lives. Changing their lives. And let me tell you, Barbara, we did one goat delivery. And now listen, we're in Nairobi. This was 2.5 hours away in Nguni Village and in Makwini County. And they went and found these individuals that needed these goats. And the lady said in 2020, November, she prayed to God and said, God, I want you to bring goats into my home. They've never had goats. No one in her family knew anything about where to get the goats. They didn't have the money, but she believed God that she was going to get them goats. And she said she wanted him to bring them in January because they're struggling. It was a global pandemic. Now, how is it possible that in January she gets a knock at the door that says, hey, there's some people from the United States that have this company called Financially Fit Africa and this nonprofit organization called the Goat Foundation, and they've selected you to receive a he goat and a she goat. Won't he do it again and again and again? And that's why I said no one else is coming. God sent you, and he'll use you if you let him.
And
but you got to step out of your comfort zone. You got
That's the hard part. That's the hard part. Stepping out of your comfort zone. And stepping out of your comfort zone, let's talk some more about that. So when you have fear,
yes,
what are some strategies that can help you get beyond that point that delivers you to the next level?
Well, I'm going to give one main strategy. Whenever you're listening, I'm going to give you one main strategy. I can give you a lot of strategies, but I feel like I can give one that no matter who it is that's listening can receive it. And if they'll apply it, I think it'll help them move in a new direction. And that's it. That is, have some goals and dreams that are bigger than your fears. You see, watch this. Simple. People tell me, Ruben, I want to speak, but I get nervous. And I said, what do you get nervous about? And they think, well, what am I going to sound like? What are people going to think? How are they going to judge me? And I said, let me ask you a question. You're standing on the corner. You're about to cross the street. You see this 10-year-old coming down the street. She has her headphones on. She's listening to music. She's not paying attention. And you see her about to run out in the street. Would you say anything? And they said, well, of course I would say something. Would you make noise? Yes. Would you move your hands? Yes. Would you even try to grab her? They said, I would do anything I could to stop her. Why? They said, because I'm trying to save her life. And then I asked this question. Would you care about what you looked like or sounded like? No. Why? Because you're trying to save her life. When I stand on stage, it's not about me. Yeah, I may look funny, I may sound funny, but there's somebody out there and I'm trying to save their life. I'm trying to give them new life. I'm trying to send them in a new direction. And so my goal when I step on stage is to make a difference. And that's bigger than any fear that I have. And so if you're out there and you're feeling the fear, you got to find a goal that'll push you out of your comfort zone, that'll pull you out of your comfort zone. And it has to be bigger than the fear. But most of the time, Barbara, the fear is bigger than the goal.
Yeah.
The fear is bigger than the goal.
Yeah.
And so unless you reverse that and make the goal bigger than the fear, then you'll always focus on the fear. So that's one strategy that they can use.
That is amazing because I can use that strategy. Every one of us has fear at some time, but
always.
I am so excited to hear some of the strategies that you use. We're using some of the similar strategies, but I want you to talk some more to the people who are not necessarily speakers. And I know you said all of us are speakers. I'm talking on platform speakers. I'm talking about show speakers, but I want you to talk to the people who are working at a job every day and they need to be able to articulate what they need, what they want to get where they want to go. How do they go about making themselves known through their voice communication?
First, they have to make the decision that they want to. See, most of the time, we've made a decision in our mind And we don't understand that that decision is playing out over and over and over and over. I was reading this book by, I think his name was Dr. Neil Fiore, and the book is called The Now Habit. The Now Habit, N-O-W. Somebody write this down, N-O-W, new opportunity window. Now, he didn't say that. I'm saying that. The Now Habit, and it's a strategy for overcoming procrastination. And what he said in this book, and this was really good. He said, procrastination is like a phobia. It's like a phobia, and you avoid tasks that you see that may affect how you see your self-worth. So many times, Barbara, we don't want to try this new thing. We don't want to stand on stage. We don't want to go apply for this other job because if we don't get it, or if it doesn't go the way we want, now we feel like it says something about who we are. And here's what I can tell you, whether you got it or you didn't get it, as long as you stepped out there and tried it, that says more about who you are than whether you got it or you didn't get it. And so what you have to do is you have to stop equating your work to your self-worth. You got to stop equating the things you try to being things that evaluate how successful you are and how you feel about yourself. And so these are important things. And what we don't realize is that in our brain doesn't have time to process everything we do. Right? Because it's busy. It gets so many bits of information coming in all the time that until we tell it purposefully to reprogram, it just runs certain loops. And so there's certain loops that we run metadata under the surface that when we think about something we do, we go through this thought, this thought, this thought, this thought, not going to do it. This thought, this thought, this thought, this thought, not going to do it. It's a loop. We're not even consciously thinking about it. What would I look like? What would I sound like? What would they think of me? What if it doesn't work? I'm going to stay in my comfort zone. And so you've got to make a decision that you want to be heard, you want to be seen, and that you're willing to do something different to bring it about. Same action, same result. New action, new result.
I'm going to have to say, ouch, hallelujah to that one. Because you was on my toes, for real, right there. Okay. I want to know, you have so much going on. We already know that. How do you get it all done?
Action. You know, we all have 24 hours in a day. And so most of the time, I told you that it's procrastination that eliminates people's ability from getting things done. Now, the reason why is because they put pressure on themselves. In that book, The Now Habit, it says you got to reframe the way you talk. Don't say, I have to finish, right? Because now that's a judgment statement. I have to finish. And then if you don't get finished, you have this judgment about why you didn't get finished. They said, instead of saying I have to finish, say I choose to start. Like there's no judgment in choosing to start. There was no judgment when I chose to start the martial arts school. I just chose to start. There was no judgment when I chose to start the medical staffing company. We just chose to start. So instead of saying I have to finish, I choose to start. And then take that action. See, Dr. King, Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, they all had the same 24 hours in a day. Elon Musk, they all have the same 24 hours in a day. They just use it differently. And so most of the time, we spend a lot of our time pontificating what if, what could be, where would it be. But if we would just take action, we would get a completely different result. And so how do I get it all done? I just want to be an actioneer, right? Michael V. Roberts wrote a book called Actioneers, right? And these are people who take action. And that's what we have to become. We have to become people to take action. And it's difficult. It's difficult because we have habits that we've used over and over. And Barbara, even when we take action, it's likely that the action that we're taking is not sufficient. And it could be much more. And that's why, if you're listening, that's why you need a coach like Barbara, right? Because sometimes if you're doing it on your own, it doesn't work like that because Because let me prove something to you. And I know you didn't ask me this, but
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready.
but without Phil Jackson, there would be no Michael Jordan. Right? Michael Jordan never won a championship until he got with Phil Jackson. And Phil Jackson, his brilliance was helping surround him with people that could offset his weaknesses. Because it didn't matter how much he could score, he couldn't go down and play defense against 5 people. So he had to build a team. One of the things a coach like Barbara does is help you build a team of people around you in your life to help overcome your shortcomings. You can't know it all and you can't do it all. So watch. When I said we started the medical staffing company and we started the surgical assistant company, I had partners in both of my martial arts schools that I started in this 24, 23 years. They're both still going today. I was smart enough to know I can't do it all by myself. And so I have to surround myself with people that can help me and people that can push me. And so what I know is that if you're needing this kind of help, I would recommend getting a coach, someone like Barbara, who can help push you out of your comfort zone and give you accountability, and then test, are you really being accountable to what you say you want to get done? But that accountability coach is critical.
You have made some serious points and some nuggets that I want to just rehash really quick.
Please.
Number one of those things was that you always have a team, a we in the conversation, because we can't do it all. And you picked people who were smart in areas that you may have been a little weaker in.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
Why would you do that?
Well, and that's the key to success. And remember, I was saying earlier that you got to overcome the problems with your self-worth. So if you're always worried about how you look and how you feel and how you sound to other people, it's unlikely that you're going to be ultra successful, because you won't want people to know your shortcomings, right? But for me, I can't know everything. I can't, right? So I'm smart enough to know my friend Kevin is an expert on personal finance. If I got these questions, I just go work with him. My friend James, he's really good with relationships. He just had some skills that I didn't have growing up. And so when I have a question, I call him. I literally look for people. I call it the friend inventory. Somebody write that down. Take a friend inventory. I look for people that have skill sets that I don't have. And then I evaluate the people that are in my friendship circle. Let me tell you why that's important, Barbara. Because if you're a procrastinator, it's likely that you have friends that are what? Procrastinators, right? If you like to stay in your comfort zone, it's likely that you have friends that do what? Stay in their comfort zone. Why? Because birds of a feather do what? Flock together, right? And that's why you have to make a decision that I have to do something different. I have to bring some new people in my life. I have to get some new people in my circle, because if the friends you have and the people in your circle could get you to where you wanted to be, well, you would already be there. And so if you don't consciously make the decision to say, I'm going to level up, and it's nothing against the people that you're saying, hey, I got to bring some new people in. But more than likely, when you decide to level up, there's some people that you just won't be connected to anymore. And there's nothing against that. You're not against them. But let's be honest, even nature recognizes the need for separation after transformation. You never see butterflies hanging with caterpillars anymore. Right? They changed. You don't see frogs hanging with tadpoles. No, they're in a completely different environment. So the natural consequence, or the natural process of changing, is changing your circle.
And that is so, so good. I want to recognize some people out here before we go to the commercial break. Arlene Collins Wilson said,
Hey.
"Man, wasn't a conference call. That's it. They're blind." We got somebody out here that Dr. Ruben West is cheering on. Great information by Michael Harris. Black Business Expo wants to know, what are your keys to success?
Yeah, I would say the keys to success is understanding your weaknesses. See, everybody focuses on their strength, and that's where you should put your effort in. But remember, to build this dream team, you have to understand what your weaknesses are and then fill those spots. And, The reason we look in the mirror is to show us something that we can't see when we're looking out. I'm going to give this to you. Listen to this. The reason we look in the mirror is that we have to see things looking at ourselves. And that's what a coach does. A coach can look inward when most of the time we're looking outward. Let's be honest. All of us have been at work or at church or in an organization or group, and you meet someone and listen, everybody knows they have bad breath. They're like, wow, everybody knows except the person. Except the person. Why? And their mouth is right below their nose and they still don't know it. And so sometimes you have to have people on the outside because you're immune to you, right? You're immune to you. And they have to say, look, do you want this mint? Like, take this mint. I'm just being honest. And I'm giving you an example that really works because all of us have experienced that. But my point is, even though everybody else knows it, their mouth is right under their nose and they don't even know it. Now, if we can miss something like that, certainly can't we miss where we're not using all the hours in a day appropriately? Can't we miss when we're overreacting to a situation?
Yes.
Can't we miss when we're living in procrastination and we don't even know it? These things are easy to miss. And then we get to 10, 15 years later and we look back and we wonder, why did these people get so much done in these 10 or 15 years and these people did not? Well, it's because they had people helping them. And so if you don't take the time to analyze your weakness or get somebody to help you, then you're really cheating your destiny. And write this down, somebody. The greatest tragedy in life is to run into the person that you were supposed to become.
Ooh, say it again.
The greatest tragedy in life is to run into the person that you were supposed to become.
That is some nuggets right there, some wisdom right there. I want to recognize some people. That's so good. That's good. Rosa Marshall says, I can use the information too. My sister Donna's out there talking about truth and eggs don't fly and many hands make light work. And Tonita Renee Hightower. Hey, Tonita.
Hey,
saying hi. Wow, amazing. So glad you are all here. Don't go anywhere. We're going to a commercial break and we will be right back with Dr. Ruben West.
I love to introduce somebody really awesome. He is a master of training other speaker, and he is a great speaker because I saw him speaking, and he hardcore. He looks like athlete. He looks like a fighter. But when he starts speaking, he speaks with a real warm heart and really touch people's heart and really fascinate people.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs and square holes. They're not fond of rules and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them or disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the one thing you cannot do is ignore them. Because they change things, they push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones that do.
Ruben West communicates by connecting with his audience when he presents and when he's sharing a key message. Being able to connect and communicate your instructions clearly is a masterful skill.
The ultimate professional. Ruben is a guy that not only teaches a message, but also demonstrates the message. He's helped me to craft my art, and I'm sure he'll help you to craft yours.
Very accomplished international speaker, being able to just connect to any audience, no matter where they come from or what kind of people they are. He helps you and serves you in every kind of way to elevate you as a speaker, and I highly recommend him.
He is a people's heart connecting scientist with the using instrument of your voice and your appearance and your heart, touching people's heart.
His communication is unmatched. I'm Australian, he's American, And it really makes no difference as to our culture and where we have come from, because his message, the way he communicates it, is from humanity.
Find a way to take the next step. Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you.
I am so happy, delighted, proud, and honored to grace the same stage as Dr. Ruben West. Yes, Rosa Marshall, teamwork definitely makes the dream work.
Amen.
From our last conversation. Now, I saw so many different nationalities of people.
Mm-hmm.
You be willing to tell us, people in general have some things that are all in common. What would you say to that question?
I think one of the things that they have in common is fear. You know, where they all worry about something, and they all want to be respected. They all want to be received. They all want to be loved. And they all care about certain things as far as their personal needs and the needs of the people they love and care about. So it's universal. When you understand that, then you also understand that we're more of the same than we are different. And so many times we get so nervous about the difference in us and someone else, and we don't focus on all the things that we have the same. That's why I can go to an international audience and feel comfortable, because there are things that make us different, but there's a lot of things that make us the same. We care. I care, right? I care about them. I care about some of the exact same things that they care about. I care about my family. I care about my friends. I care about my future. They care about the same things. And so I think when we really look at the fact that there's all of these things that are the same, then we don't focus on the things that make us different. And I'm going to say this, Barbara. I think that's where we're at in the U.S. today. I mean, we have some significant turmoils going on in our country, and everybody's looking at how we're different, but they're not looking at how we're the same. And we have some opinions that we bring into the table, and it's hard for us to hear the other person. Winston Churchill said, it takes courage to stand up and speak, but it also takes courage to sit down and listen. And so a lot of people want to do the talking, and there's nothing wrong with that, but we also have to be willing to listen. And what connects us to other people when I speak internationally is I listen. I want to find out what they care about. I want to find out what's troubling them. When I just talked to you earlier about why we went to Kenya and started this company, look how many facts and statistics I told you about what they're facing right now. Why? Because you have to do your research, right? You got to understand what the problem is before you can provide a solution. And so I think if we take the time to better understand the people that we're working with or the people that we want to connect to, it would make it a lot easier for us, and we'd feel a lot more comfortable.
I want to talk to you about that stream that was going across the bottom. Mm-hmm. It streamed for a while. Mark, could you put it back? Because I want Dr. West to talk about that for a few minutes. Mm-hmm. And I want him to talk about what that is and why he's giving that away.
Absolutely. So this is a program I created called Silencing the Inner Critic and Creating Your Powerful Affirmation. One of the things that I feel that restricts us is we have this negative voice in our head that it tells us what we can't do. We go to try something new. You know, you can't do that. You know, you're not supposed to do that. You know, you just like your dad. You just like your mom. You know where you came from. You know where you were born at. You know, you ain't supposed to be no speaker. What do you mean getting a job in corporate America? You know, you'll never get into that school. No need to even apply. And so I call it the inner critic. Now, let me just real quick, Barbara, tell them where the inner critic comes from. Dr. Maxwell Maltz, in his book, Psycho-Cybernetics, says there's 3 factors. And when these 3 factors are present, things get imprinted on our subconscious mind. Number 1 it's something that's said to us by an authority figure. Number two, it's something that's said to us with emotional force. Number three, it's repeated often. When those three factors come together, things get imprinted on our subconscious mind. And so you go to step out of your comfort zone and they say, you know, you better not do that. You know what happened the last time you did that? You know, nobody in your family's ever been able to start a business. You know where you come from, right? And it pushes us back into that comfort zone. It pushes us back into that shell. Well, this program that I created is designed to get people out of that comfort zone. And I walk you through it step by step. This is something I charge for. I charge as a coach, but I'm giving it to everybody that's listening now as a gift for being on Barbara's show. I think most people think that they're showing up for your show when in reality, but they're showing up for themselves. And so I always want to give something to people who make the decision to show up for themselves. And so if anybody can copy that and post it in the feed, I would appreciate it. But I'm doing it because you're showing up for yourself. And then when you go through it, it's life-changing. In my opinion, it's life-changing. And so many people have talked to me, Dr. West, it's life-changing. So at the end, not only do I show you how to silence that inner critic, but I also help you write your powerful affirmation. Here's mine. I'm a balanced, empathetic, and sensitive leader, connecting on a divine level, creating new opportunities, and guiding millions toward their God-given dreams. I live that every single day. So when I took 50, 60 plus people on TV, I'm guiding millions toward their God-given dreams. When I've helped all these people become published authors, I'm guiding millions toward their God-given dreams. When I'm over in Kenya, Africa, helping people generate income, guess what I'm doing? I'm guiding millions toward their God-given dream. I'm just living who I said I was. And most people have never taken the time to determine who they are. It's been determined by people outside of them. So this program helps you put it back into perspective, who you are, and then live in that way.
And I can attest to that inner critic information that you put out. It is really powerful. If you are out there listening to us right now, you want to copy that and get that resource for yourself. It makes a difference in your life. It's powerful.
Definitely.
Dr. West,
Mm-hmm.
You are always taking people wherever you go. I heard you once say, the statement that other people say is, it's lonely at the top.
Yeah.
And what do you say about that?
That's because you didn't take anybody with you. Right. I mean, and then they have the audacity to complain about it. Right. But go on a trip and go by yourself, and you can end up lonely. But that's not anyone else's fault. That's your fault. I believe we have a responsibility to lift as we climb. And so I have no desire to outshine. I have no desire to be above everyone else. My desire is for us all to be elevated. Now, will some go higher than the others? Of course they will. I have no problem with anybody who passes me up. I have no problem with anybody who's lower than me, but I'm going to do my best to reach down and help you go. And so I think if more of us did that on a consistent basis, right, make it our personality, I think we can help change humanity. We can help change the way people feel, think, and act about themselves and the possibilities of their future. So you got to lift as you climb.
I love that. Lift as you climb. And one of the people I want to give a shout out to is Dr. Tracy Ward, that you have lifted as you climb. Talk to me some about my friend, Dr. Tracy Ward.
Well, you know, this is why this is important. And I want to say this, and that is because a lot of people don't know how gifted they are. They've been beat down by life, and they've been discouraged because they've made mistakes in the past or done things that were outside of the norm. And so what happens is we experience two things. One is guilt, one is shame, but they're different. Guilt is I did something bad. Shame is I am bad. And now what happens is when people feel like they're bad, they don't push, they don't reach, they just settle. And so I remember reaching out to my friend, Dr. Tracy Ward. I started the Live Your Best Life movement. I asked her, Tracy, would you buy one of my shirts and support me and then take a picture and send it to me? She said, of course, anything I can do to help you. So she brought the shirt, she received it, and I kept waiting for the picture. I was like, Trey, where's the picture? Where's the picture? And she said, I'm going to get it to you. And then finally I said, well, let me ask you a question. do you not have a phone like mine that you could just take a picture and send it to somebody? And she said, yes. I said, well, then do that. And let me tell you what she said. I can't take a picture in a shirt that says live your best life because I'm not living it and I'm not a hypocrite. And so one of the things that I love that she said was the truth. The truth is not binding. The truth is liberating. The truth will set you free. And I said, Trey, I'm a coach. And if you work with me, I'm going to change your life. I say it because I know what I've been called to do. And so she agreed to work with me. She was a little frustrated because, when she got started, her father was never in her life. And she had 3 children. She wasn't married. She was judged for that and different things. And she experienced a lot of church hurt. And so she was in her shell. But I saw her greatness. Why? Because her oldest son was voted top 20 entrepreneurs under 40. Her youngest son works with the elderly. Her daughter has a job. Michelle Obama spoke at her daughter's graduation. All 3 of them graduated high school. I mean, you got people with 2-parent households and all these things that hadn't accomplished what she's accomplished. She's worked her way up and was the officer for the, I think it was the Kansas Department of Transportation, the EEO officer. I mean, just amazing things. And she started out in the projects. And so here we are in England doing an event, and she's speaking, and these women are crying and falling out, just like I told her they would when they heard from her. And I said, Tracy, do you know you went from the projects to the palace? You went from living in the project to be in the project. So now we've been to Dubai together where she spoke. In a mostly Muslim country, she gets a standing ovation from the Muslim men and the women, and she's talking Christian principles. Where do they do that at? Come on, somebody. We went to Bahrain together. We went to Guyana together. She met with the vice president. We went to Canada together. My point is, you've got to be around somebody that sees the greatness in you, even when you can't see it for yourself.
And that's what I'm talking about.
And then lift as you climb.
Yeah.
See,
I
have a responsibility.
Absolutely love that. Want to recognize some comments out here. The inner critic, Donna Gray says, that's what you say to yourself when you're talking to yourself, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
She also gave Shad Helmstetter. Is that the book you referenced?
No, mine is Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz, but I do know the book by Shad Helmstetter. His book is What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. Yes.
Yeah. And then we have where would we get information from for your classes and training?
You know what? You can private message me if that's something that you're interested in. I'm here as a guest on her show. I know she works with people too. So, I respect that. I'm not necessarily coming here, but if somebody wants to talk to me, certainly you could reach out to me on Facebook in a private message. I'll give you all the information. But, I'm going to be honest with you. Barbara's fantastic. She's phenomenal. So she's here already.
I appreciate you, Dr. West, so much. Donald Tolson says, yes, I love my BBS family. Sandra Lucky says, fact. And Donna Graves says, again, lift as you climb.
You got to do it.
I love those tenets of possibilities. I love that you are a servant. The thing I love most about you, Dr. West, is that you are a servant's servant. You serve so many people around the world. This is not just in your backyard. This is not just your family. This is not just your friends. This is people you don't even know. And you see a need and you fill that need by what God has given you to do. And if more people like that were like that, what a different world this would be, right?
Indeed.
So I am excited and elated to hear more about your travels. I know you're coming up on another trip to Africa. What is that going to be like and about?
I am going there. Like I said, we're starting a company there. We're really going to make a difference in the lives of the people that we're working with. I'm excited because I got a call a few weeks ago, and I've gotten an invitation to meet with 3 more African presidents, one in Ghana, one in Zambia, and one in the DRC. Now, this is why it's important to step out of our comfort zone, because God chooses who he uses. Why am I getting the opportunity? I have no idea. I have no idea. He just chose me. I got a chance to sit down with the president of Burundi, Africa. I got a chance to sit down with the vice president in Guyana. And Barbara, I always wanted to be in front of thousands and thousands and thousands, and I don't have a problem doing that. But somebody taught me the power of a handful. They said, Ruben, you got to understand the power of a handful. And so when I was with the vice president in Guyana and we went to his home country on the plane, and it was just a handful. It was me, my friend Candace from Florida, and his Secret Service. And there were just a handful of people. And when I told him about my book, Dialogue, and how it was going to change communications for companies and countries, he said, I can't wait to get a hold of it. And that's probably something we can implement in the school system and implement in the government. But there was only a handful of people in the room. And so I think we have to get over the fact that we have to be in front of a big crowd. Listen to this. You can speak to the world, or you could just speak to a world changer. Either way, the result is the same.
That is so good. That is so good. Tanita's out there saying we are both truly a blessing. I thank you, Tanita, for being out there.
Thank you.
And Donald resonates with God chooses who he uses.
Amen.
And we can't do anything about that. Is that right?
We can't do anything about it, except we can stay in our comfort zone, right?
Yeah, but we can't do that.
And that's your fault, right? Because he wanted you. He called you for more, but you've got to be willing to step out there.
I love that you addressed speaking to small crowds, because again, I'm going to just reiterate, there are times when you feel as a speaker that, there's not a lot of people showing up, and, you may feel bad that you didn't get the kinds of people that you need to be in the audience. But that really did something to me. It helped me in this moment to know that you can just have the power of one, and that person be a world changer.
Barbara, Mabel Hefty was I think a 5th grade teacher, and she prided herself on teaching her class. And so she got this young man in her class. He was awkward. He was different. He had a funny sounding name than everyone else. But instead of isolating him, she included him, and she spoke to him about his greatness. Remember, I said 3 factors: said to you by an authority figure, said with emotion or force, repeated often, and that's good or bad. So she repeated positive things. She was the teacher. She would say positive things over and over and over and over again. And Mabel Hefty was committed to making a difference in the lives of the people that she taught. And then one day I found out who Mabel Hefty was when former President Barack Obama was standing up talking about his 5th grade teacher who made him feel comfortable because he looked different. He had a funny sounding name, and he was different than everyone in the school. But she did her job. Remember, I said you could speak to the world, or in that small group, you may be speaking to a world changer. Either way, your job is still the same.
And it is, Donna says, who's in your front row, which is what she's really saying about that. But I want you to reiterate. You say it so fast because you've said it a million times. I know you have said it before because I've heard it before. The 3 things.
Yeah, that helps things get imprinted on your subconscious mind. Is something that's said with an emotion or force. Sit down and shut up. You're just like your dad. You'll never amount to anything. It's said with emotion or force. It's said by an authority figure, a teacher, a parent, an uncle, a supervisor, and it's repeated often. When you have those 3 factors, things get imprinted on your subconscious mind. But here's the thing. It works for positive things too.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when I wake my son up every day, I get right in his ear and say, you're full of greatness and possibility. You're full of greatness and possibility. And I shake him while I'm waking up. And then I have him go stand in front of the mirror and say, you're full of greatness and possibility. So when I took him to Kenya, Africa in 2019 at 7 years old, and he's standing on the stage speaking, I didn't tell him how to hold the mic, and I didn't tell him where to look in the audience, and I didn't tell him all that stuff. You know what I told him before he went out there? You're full of greatness and possibility. Now go do what you do. Come on, somebody. Come on.
I love it. I love it. We are at the top of the show. I have enjoyed you so much, Dr.
Thank you.
You want to give us any final tidbits, final nuggets that you might want to share with us before going out of this place?
Yeah, there's one thing I want to tell you, and is really serious, and I want you to really understand it. If everybody's seen the movie The Lion King, remember The Lion King? And I've had to watch it again because my son just turned 10. He was 7, 8, 9, 10. We'd watch it over and over again. But it was really about Simba, who was supposed to be king. Remember, they held him up, and he had a song, I Just Can't Wait to Be King. And some of you have a song too. And then what happened is there was a mistake. His father got killed. Somebody lied on him, his uncle, and told him it was his fault, his Uncle Scar, and told him, you can't show your face around here ever again. And now, why do I say that? Because there's some of us who have been through situations. It was a mistake. Wasn't our fault. Maybe we did something wrong. And someone has made us feel bad to the point where we don't even want to show our face anymore. And so Simba left. He changed his friend. He was hanging out with lions. His friends became a meerkat and a warthog. When does a lion hang with a meerkat and a warthog? And Barbara, they changed their song. His song used to be, I Just Can't Wait to Be King. And it went to Hakuna Matata, no worries. It's a problem-free philosophy. And there's someone that's been hit by life and they've changed their song. They've changed their vision. They've changed their destination for themselves. But what happened is Rafiki came along, hit him in the head and said, look, your father is alive. And he said, what? He said, yeah, look in the water. And what he was saying, he's not physically alive. He's in you. Our ancestors are living in us right now. They're waiting for us to step up right now. They sacrifice so we can do things right now. And some of us are playing small, living in our comfort zone.
Come on now.
Wait a minute. If my father's alive and he lives in me, I've got to go back and do what I'm supposed to do. And so he went back to Pride Rock, where he was from. And when he left, it was rich, real, and refreshing. And now it's desolate, it's destitute, and downtrodden. And guess what? He runs into his Uncle Scar, and his Uncle Scar was in charge.
Right.
No. Barbara, don't miss this. Sandra, don't miss this. Donna, don't miss this. Donald, don't miss this. He ran into his Uncle Scar, and his Uncle Scar was in charge of Pride Rock. But when he was younger, he was supposed to be king. I told you the greatest tragedy in life is to run into the person that you were supposed to become.
Come on now.
Don't let that happen to you. My final thought. Come on, Barbara.
I'm speechless. What do you mean?
Don't let that happen to you. The greatest tragedy in life, running into the person that you were supposed to become. I refuse to do that. I refuse.
And I'm staying on that same ground as you, Dr. Ruben West. I am not going to let that happen. Not on my watch.
Not on my watch.
Thank you so much for being here. It has been a blast. Oh my God. All of you out there, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Barbara H. Smith Show. Stay with me after the show. There's going to be a presentation at the bit.ly/Barbara Smith. You can get the masterclass that I've been teaching, the Unleash the Speaker Masterclass, right after this at the bit.ly/Barbara H. Smith is going to give you my calendar to get on my calendar for the masterclass. If you want to take advantage of it, there it is, bit.ly Barbara H. Smith. And right after the show, there is a Zoom link. If somebody would be so kind as to copy that Zoom link at 9 o'clock, we'll probably start at 9:05, and you will be a witness to the premiere VIP session of Unleash the Speaker Within. I thank Dr. Ruben West for being a part of the show. It was amazing. If you missed it, it's going to be on replay. Check it out on Facebook. Check it out on YouTube. It is my time, my joy, my pleasure to spend time and space with you. And thank you for spending time and space with me. I'm Barbara H. Smith, and I'm out.